The world is currently on fire, but every 4 years, everyone comes together and is as cool as ice. Let's relive some of our favorite Winter Olympics memories and all come out champions. Feel the rhythm, feel the rhyme, get on up. It's Wayback Attack time.
Welcome to Wayback Attack. My name is Brian Grantham, and sitting across the ice rink is Preston Burt. Preston, are you ready to get the gold once again?
I'm ready to skate my way to victory, and I'm a little disappointed it wasn't the ice rink of destiny, which
I almost said it. I was
really
so close.
But I'm glad to be here with you regardless. Coming out of the coldest month of the year, right? February?
Oh, yeah.
But it feels like we're already in spring.
I know. It got it like the other day. It was like 80 degrees outside.
Yeah,
it was
crazy.
ridiculous.
It's crazy. But I'm ready for this month to be over. It's been a pretty crap month.
I feel you. So many things this month have happened, both to me personally and just to the world in general.
Yes.
It's just like everything is coming to an end. Actually, it's funny that we say this. It's all coming to an end. Did you see that his name is Pat Robertson, the preacher, the TV evangelist?
Yeah.
Did you see he came out of retirement?
No.
He did. He came out of retirement to talk about how God is leading Putin to start the end of days.
Oh. So, okay. Well then. Happy Wayback Attack show, everybody. We're going to be talking about the Winter Olympics, which, if I'm not mistaken, it has ended now, right?
I would assume so.
So basically, we're really up on the Winter Olympics. No, I in all honesty, I feel like the Winter Olympics are like the lesser cousin to the Summer Olympics. The Summer Olympic is the big deal, but you can't overshadow some of these winter athletes, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. But before we do, it's been a while. Mm-hmm. What you been up to?
Well, to go along with what I was talking about, February being a bad month for me. I was driving to work the other day, and I was behind this like pickup truck that had like a trailer that he was towing behind him. And I don't know if it was a rock or just a big piece of metal. It was big though. And like it was so big that I physically dodged my body because it fell off the back, bounced off the ground, and hit my windshield. And luckily it didn't break it very bad. Like it cracked it. And it's kind of crazy because I already had like a small chip in the same area from like another rock hitting it, but it was like a small pebble. Whereas this like cracked
thudded the window.
Oh yeah. And but it didn't really spread out while I was driving, because I've seen that happen before where the windshield gets hit by something, but then as you're driving, like the crack is getting bigger, and that didn't happen. I was on my way to work and I was like, well, at least it didn't spread. And it's been like that for probably 2 weeks now. And this morning, you talk about it being a cold month, I had frost on my windshield, and I guess the frost, like the water getting in that crack and freezing, made it spread across my whole windshield.
Just the temperature change.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, dude, that stinks. You're going to have to get the whole windshield replaced.
I know. Apparently it's illegal to have it like that, so I definitely have to get that done.
Yeah. Well, that stinks. Things have been okay for me. I've gotten to go to a cool toy swap meet.
Nice.
I just got back from Tantrum Con, which is a board game event in Charlotte, North Carolina. I was exhibiting for the Southern Pride Gaming Expo, which is right around the corner in July, so put that on your calendars.
Is that Tantrum the brewing?
No, it's a Tantrum House, which is like a collective of YouTube board gamers.
Okay.
And they started their own convention, which has grown in popularity.
That's cool.
So got to play a whole bunch of new games and some old classics too, but I won most of them, so of course it was a great time for me. Nice.
You're very good at board games.
I like the strategy. No, I'm not great, but I have a good time.
Yeah. What was the one that we played at Dragon Con with the spy stuff? Do you remember?
Tale of Spies, something like that. It was a very short-lived game that didn't have much popularity, but I thought it was really, really fun.
Yeah, I liked it a lot.
And but one of my favorite games I feel bad playing now, which is Pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like this is not really appropriate to be having fun around anymore. But yeah.
The only time I played that game was, I think I played it over at your house, and we won we won a round. And
Yeah.
so I was like, all right, I'm calling it quits now. Going out on top.
Well, transitioning to the topic at hand, speaking of games, the Olympic Games are always in the summer and the winter. And this past year, because of the twist and turn of events, we actually had summer coverage. And now we're having winter coverage. Winter Olympics just happened. And I'm curious, did you check out any of this year's Winter Olympics?
I did not.
No?
I saw, I would see things here and there, like I didn't sit down and watch anything. I watched a lot of like Winter Olympics side stuff, right? So like, I think curling is really cool. I like games that are like that, like bocce and stuff like that, where it's all the same concept, right? And I watched a thing on YouTube the other day where it was like somebody, like just some random guy, like learning what curling is and how to play it, and then having the U.S. Olympic team like play with him and like teach him. And I thought that was really cool because there's a lot of strategy that goes into it that you just don't think of. Like when you watch them do it, it's like, oh, they're just trying to get the thing in the center, you know. But that was really neat. And then I stay with social media, I kind of stay afloat with how medal standings are going. You're right.
Speaking of curling, I did see, I think that was this year's Olympics, where someone had a true rare event where they actually tied. Like they got out the laser measurement and everything, and it was precisely exact tie. I forget how they scored it, but it was it's a rare event, so it was noteworthy. Yeah. But no, I like you, it's in my periphery. I see it on social media. But I wasn't keeping up with the medal count. I really feel like the Olympics being right on top of each other, the summer and the winter, really diluted my appreciation for the winter, for the Olympics, and like keeping up with who's winning and all that kind of stuff. My wife is still a big fan of the figure skating.
Right.
So she watched some of the figure skating and stuff with my kids. But the only thing I watched and kept up with Shaun White's snowboarding run, because this is going to be, or was, his last Olympics.
Wow.
And
the end of an era.
The true end of an era. Flying tomato. But he came so close, but didn't get it. But it was really heartwarming to see his final run, and his competitors greeting him at the bottom there, and the emotions running strong, and how just he did a whole lot for the sport, and it's like you said, an end of an era.
Yeah, Shaun White's cool. I think he's the only person that I can think of that has both a snowboarding video game and a skateboarding video game.
Oh, so right.
Yeah, he is not quite as known for his skateboarding prowess, but he's also a skater. So
the original skateboarders were using skateboarding as a way to do surfing. Right. So you had a lot of surfers and skateboarders at first. Now you got a lot of skateboarders and snowboarders. Yeah. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. The Winter Games, you're talking about how they're on top of each other this year because they wound up pushing back the Summer Olympics to this year. They used to do both the Summer and Winter Olympic Games in the same year. Right. And then what was it, in the 60s, I think? They broke it apart to where they didn't want them happening in the same time or the same year, and so then they started doing one.
I thought it was newer than that.
Okay, maybe in the 80s. I know I was reading up on it, and I know it was sometime fairly recent. But
look, guys, we have a general idea of what we're talking about. We may be right, we may not be right, but hey, who knows? Who cares? We're going to be here to have fun.
Yeah, that's right. That's all. Hey, as long as you tried your best and had fun, that's all that matters.
Yeah. We're part of it.
There you go. We're winners too, Preston.
Yeah. We get participation trophies here at Wayback Attack. So I think you were telling me earlier a memory you had of Shaun White.
Oh, yes. It's probably my favorite memory of the Winter Olympics. Shaun White was 19. Unfortunately, it does not go back as far as most of our stuff does. I think it was 2006 Winter Olympic Games. But yeah, here, take a look.
Were you showing people on the airplane? Were people asking to see it, or?
Yeah, what happened was, the funniest thing is the stewardess had all seen the games, and they were just so excited to see me. And they're like, "You have the gold," and I mean, I had I had unlimited like service after that. I was getting drinks and I was getting snacks, and I mean I was taking photos in the back with all the students. It was fun.
Wait a minute, drinks? You're 19 years old.
Yeah, I'm talking about Mountain Dews, baby. All right.
He called me baby. He called me baby. Okay.
That was crazy. I had not seen that clip, but I don't know how I didn't see that clip. That's so iconic.
Yeah, I'm talking about Mountain Dews, baby.
Wow. How old do you think he was at the time?
He was 19. Yep.
Yeah, to be 19 and have that presence on camera, I mean, and that charisma, that's wild. No wonder he's a beloved icon, but he got there on his talent. So.
Yeah. So it's sad to see him go. Sad that he didn't have like the same outing that someone like Michael Phelps has on their last year or whatever. But hey, end of an era.
Of one other small Shaun White story I'll tell. I saw him give an interview about him cutting his hair, because I don't know if you've seen, but he has like he used to have those flowing locks of red hair, and now it's very trimmed and styled. And people are like, "Well, you cut your signature look." And he says, "Well, I'll tell you, I had the opportunity a few years ago to meet Carrot Top in Vegas." And he looked at me and said, "You still have time to get rid of your hair. I'm stuck like this for the rest of my life." So, yeah.
You gotta know when to rebrand. So,
all right. Any other favorite memories of the actual Winter Olympics before we get into the pop culture memories?
Nothing that really stands out. When I was a kid, it was mainly just figure skating, bobsledding. I never really watched hockey stuff. I've watched real hockey in real life, but I never really watched it at the Olympics. So it was mainly just figure skating, because I think there's just so much figure skating at the Olympics, because you have singles and doubles and different types of figure skating. Speed skating's pretty cool, but yeah, I don't know. Nothing that really stands out.
Well, before we get into like our pop culture picks, one thing that I don't remember it because I was only just born, but one of the very first documentaries that I saw that I really loved and remembered was the "Do You Believe in Miracles" documentary. It's about the 1980 U.S. Olympic hockey team, which was the U.S. against the Soviet Union, and in Lake Placid, and it was just really iconic. Have you seen that documentary or seen the movie Miracle on Disney?
I know of Miracle, but I've never seen the documentary.
All right, well, so that was my pitch to you. If you don't know the story, or if you've only seen the Disney movie, you should really seek out the documentary. It was on HBO, and so you can find it probably there. Do You Believe in Miracles? It's a really, really good documentary, and especially at this point in time with, whatever. But I didn't want to include that because it's just straight up, sports history. But we'll get into our favorite pop culture picks with this entry.
He's down and out.
Those are figure skates, pal.
A year from now, you're going to be in a Snoopy costume and a nice capades.
She's on her own.
Who the hell do you think you are?
Hey, Snow White, relax. I'm no figure skater. I'm a hockey player.
Don't quit your day job.
Now, there's only one thing keeping them from winning the gold.
Would you please put me down?
Each other. The Cutting Edge, rated PG.
All right, Preston, The Cutting Edge. Is that not one of the best Olympic adjacent movies you've ever seen in your life?
Well, seeing as how there are not that many Olympic adjacent movies, I would definitely say yes. But in all sincerity, I have seen that movie multiple times because it's just a really good movie. It hits the sweet spot of being like funny and inspirational and like plausible enough where you're like, yes.
And like the chemistry between DB Sweeney and Moira Kelly, Moira Kelly, I think is very good. Like they're very good together. And it's funny because when I was a kid, I always thought that DB Sweeney was, what was this Judd Apatow's guy that never ages? Hey, look at us.
What?
We did it.
Paul Rudd.
Yeah, Paul Rudd. I used to think that they were the same person. when
I thought you were going to say you got DB Sweeney and DB Cooper mixed up. And
Who's DB Cooper?
You don't know who that is?
Uh-uh.
He's the famous guy who hijacked a plane and jumped out and they can't find the money.
No, what
You
is
don't know this?
Uh-uh.
Oh my God. Well, okay, there's a rabbit hole for you guys to go down.
I thought that was McAfee.
All right. But no, this movie, I watched it as a kid. I watched it with my wife. I've shown it to my kids. But how did you first see it?
I feel like I probably saw it in theater.
Yeah.
But I know for sure I have seen it multiple times on probably school trips. I remember being in the bus and them playing it like on like the TV in the bus or whatever.
Yeah.
So.
I feel like the early 90s was a really big time for family-friendly, quasi-inspirational sports movies.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you had, Sandlot and Little Giants.
Mighty
and
Ducks.
Necessary Roughness and just, Mighty Ducks. And this just fit in there. And it was, it's one of these movies that I feel like they don't make enough of anymore, which is just like, a solid B.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to win any awards. It's just really well made and really entertaining. Like, if you made this now, it'd probably be like a Netflix movie.
Mm-hmm.
But as good as some Netflix movies are, I don't feel like this type of movie would be as highly produced as this one was.
Yeah, and
cinematic.
I think also you run into where a lot of rom-coms that are sports related, like I couldn't even think of the last, like, rom-coms in general have taken such a dive, and I feel like you said, streaming stuff is probably the only place you really see that stuff nowadays, but it's probably like a missed opportunity. I think Hallmark Channel needs to get in on it.
Yeah. Well, so for folks who didn't ring a bell with the trailer clip, give us a little synopsis of the movie, a little rundown.
All right, so Moira is a very pretentious and snobby figure skater who is babied by her dad, and so because of that, it's hard for her to deal with anybody because it has to be her way or the highway. And I think it's at the Olympics, her partner drops her, and so they wind up not winning or whatever. It may not be the Olympics. It may have been like just at the World Figure Skating Championships or whatever. And so she fires him, and then I think it was the Olympics, because then DB is a hockey player, and he gets hit so bad that he gets brain damage, and it messes up his peripheral vision, and so he can't play hockey anymore. And so the coach is having a real hard time. The figure skating coach is having a really hard time finding a partner for her. And so what better way to do it than this down and out hockey player to come in, and he deals with tough people all the time, and so maybe they can work together to figure it out.
Spoiler alert, they do.
Toe pick.
Oh, that was so great. And Terry O'Quinn plays the dad. He was in Lost and a whole bunch of other things. He was so great as kind of a jerk. And then DB Sweeney, he had a moment there in the 90s. He was in everything, but most notably a nightmare of my childhood, Fire in the Sky.
Oh,
he
my
played
God.
the main character.
That was another film that we watched on the bus.
Yeah. He had some weird bus trips.
Hey, we were all about needles and eyes and toe picks, so what can I say?
Yeah, so Cutting Edge, apparently it had like sequels. It was good enough for sequels, but I did not see any of these sequels.
I have never seen these sequels either, but it's crazy. So the original movie takes place in 1992, right? Because that's when the movie came out. Well, in the first sequel, The Cutting Edge Going for Gold from 2006, they moved the original story back so that their kid would be taking place, would be the right age for that time period.
Oh, I see.
And so the movie, I don't know, like after that it gets kind of crazy.
They just retcon the timeline a little bit.
And then, so you had, it's also weird that how long it took for 2006 was the next movie, and then it was like 2006, 2008, 2010. So they started churning them out at that point, and it's like, I've never even heard of these sequels. How did they put them out so fast? But you had The Cutting Edge Going for Gold in 2006, Cutting Edge Chasing the Dream in 2008, and The Cutting Edge Fire and Ice in 2010. They mainly all had different casts. But yeah, they moved the original movie from 1992 to the 1984 Winter Olympics, so their daughter could be 21 in the sequel.
Yeah.
So,
well, with nostalgia and legacy properties being the name of the game these days, I wouldn't be surprised if you see another one.
oh man, especially after this Winter Olympics, maybe something crazy happened that we're unaware of, and so people are like, "This is ripe for the picking."
Or maybe enough time has passed where we'll get like a Will Ferrell, John Heater, Blades of Steel. No, Blades of Glory.
Yes,
Blades
of Steel was the NES game.
Yeah. Maybe we'll get a part 2 of that.
Hey, maybe we'll get a part 2 of Blades of Steel. That was a good game. Not as good as ice hockey, but
all right. We'll start off strong with The Cutting Edge, a great Olympic movie.
85 meters, and as I look at the start list, Eddie Edwards will be next. The darling of the media and the fans. There he is. What's going through his mind right now, Jeff?
I know he's nervous. I had a chance to talk to him earlier, and this is, of course, his first Olympics. But it's interesting. Eddie wants to be skiing right through 1994. There he is. He's a marketing genius is what he is. He's got the fans on his side. And
all right. That's not a wrong graphic. He was Chris and Michael. He told me a day before yesterday, but he likes Eddie Edwards. It's more saleable, no doubt. Yeah.
Michael David Edwards, better known as Eddie the Eagle. Now, Eddie the Eagle was not someone I remembered growing up, but I became infatuated with him after seeing the new movie that came out only a few years ago of the same name, Eddie the Eagle.
Okay.
Starring Taron Egerton, who played he would go on to play Elton John in Rocket Man.
Okay.
And Hugh Jackman as the coach. But anyway, it's a true story. Eddie the Eagle was a 1988 Olympian for Great Britain, and he was iconic because he wore these hugely thick spectacles. I mean, like Coke bottle glasses, and he was like he was a plasterer, and he lived in an insane asylum to save on rent.
Wow.
Just a very bootstrapping kind of guy. Just wanted to be an Olympian. He worked hard, and he came in dead last.
Okay. I was going to say, what do you think made him so good?
So, he was a media darling for his kind of hard scrabble approach and being a massive underdog. But was had a lot of notoriety in the '88 Olympics that he has since used to his advantage. But anyway, so in the 1988 Olympics, he competed in the ski jump, and he finished 58 out of 58. But because there were so few British ski jumpers in the past, he actually was the record holder for Great Britain, and he held the record of longest ski jump in Great Britain until 2001.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. So his jump was 71 meters, which is 233 feet. And it's still, in British history, is still sixth highest for all Britons. But just for comparison, remember his was 71 meters, 233 feet. The first current record holder in Great Britain is Sam Bolton with 134 meters or 441 feet. So almost double in length.
Why do you think it's hard for Great Britain to have great long jumper, or not long jumpers?
I don't know. I don't know
Ski
the
jumpers.
topography of Great Britain very well, but it's perhaps that they don't have like large mountain ranges with which they can natively practice.
So originally I was going to say, how do you think he got picked for their Olympic team based off of his history and the fact that he came in dead last? But I mean, I guess if he was the best in Great Britain, that's wild.
Yeah. Now, they actually did make a rule following the Olympics to make it less likely for someone like Eddie to be an Olympian. I think they made it more stringent to qualify. I think it was really kind of the fact that he was Great Britain's only ski jumper that he made it. But yeah, it's funny thinking back about him. It reminded me of Elizabeth Swanee. Does that name ring a bell to you?
Not really.
So 2018 Winter Olympics, there was a ski jumper, not a ski jumper, a skier in the half pipe event.
Yeah.
That was very basic in a lot of people's minds. And they tried to make a rule following her because it was similar to Eddie Edwards, where she did like the bare minimum. And if you look at the video of her, and I think we have a copy of it, you can see her just do the bare minimum to clear the half pipe and then go back down and do just a little bit. And she gets like 1 foot of air while all of her competitors are doing like these flips and tricks and landing these incredible things. But she qualified because she would go to competitions that had few people. So she would meet the qualifications of finishing in the top 30, even though she would finish 15th out of 15 and was technically okay. She just wouldn't fall down. But hey, I appreciate the go-get spirit of saying, I want to be an Olympian. I'm going to be an Olympian. Like it or not, I'm here.
And she played the game, but also with her being technically good, I mean, that's like, a thing in boxing, right? Like Mayweather is technically good at boxing, but like he's very flashy and flamboyant, but then in the boxing ring, his fights are very boring because he is a technical boxer and he only wins on points, you know? So maybe that's what she was going for. Just
maybe
trying to get that payday.
Well, Eddie has, he's in the record books. He's truly an Olympian. He made a return appearance, but he's also been on, Carson, and he's been in commercials, and then most recently, well, not most recently, but in recent memory, in 2013, he was a contestant on a British reality show wherein they got professional high divers. Now, he was still really young at the time, but Tom Daley, who was a media darling during this Summer Olympics as a high diver for Britain, he trained Eddie Edwards in synchronized high dive. And so there's a video of him doing a synchronized high dive with Tom Daley. Anyway, so
that's probably his like career highlight.
Viewer, listener, do you remember Eddie Edwards, Eddie the Eagle? We'd love to hear about it, but I was fascinated to learn that that this existed. And if you don't know, just go check out the movie. Hugh Jackman, Taron Egerton. Great stuff.
I'm surprised I've never even heard of the movie.
You should check it out.
I should, because it sounds like a great cast.
It's fun.
I would like to begin by saying how sorry I am about what happened to Nancy Kerrigan. I am embarrassed and ashamed to think that anyone close to me could be involved. I was disappointed not to have the opportunity to compete against Nancy at nationals. I have a great deal of respect for Nancy.
All right, so that last clip is not at all graphic. It's just Tanya Harding talking about what happened to Nancy Kerrigan. So I tried to pick something where it is probably something that you've seen or heard before, but not the my knee thing, right? So I think, we talked about the hockey movie Miracle, right? And that was such a big, iconic thing. But man, and I was not alive in 1980, right? That's the year that happened. So not even part of my life. I think probably the Winter Olympics thing that stands out the most to me in my life is the Nancy Kerrigan, Tanya Harding thing.
Yeah, the incident.
Yes. I mean, it was everywhere.
It was.
And for a long time. Because it happened before the Olympics, and then it carried through, the whole story just carried through the Olympics.
Yeah, I saw this on your list, and I'm with you. I wasn't familiar with any of these figure skaters. It just wasn't my bag. But because of the media notoriety, I mean, they were everywhere. You could not know about Tanya Harding and Nancy Kerrigan. I saw a statistic or something where at one point in time, Tanya Harding was the second most known person in the world behind Bill Clinton.
Oh, see, I thought you were gonna say behind O.J. Simpson, because it was the media circus for both of these incidents.
Right, it was the similar hype.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they just transitioned from one to the other.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, figure skating in the '90s, man, you had Katarina Witt and Oksana Bayul,
Mm-hmm.
and then Nancy Kerrigan, Tanya Harding. It was a fiasco. Now, do you like? It took me going down the rabbit hole for this episode
Mm-hmm.
to remember the specifics, but did you remember like what actually went down?
So part of my memory of this whole incident is probably colored by In Living Color, because I think that they used to make fun of it occasionally. But yeah, I mean, for the most part. So I will say, I did research on this, but this part is all from memory, right? So I remembered the video of Tanya Harding talking about her knee and like somebody hit her, right? And then really like the next thing like I remembered was like focus was on Nancy Kerrigan on the ground with the knee.
Uh-huh.
Tanya Harding being the focus, because I don't think at the time that she was suspected by people, but like because she made it onto the team because of it, right?
Uh-huh.
And then I remembered the big bodyguard guy being a part of it, and then in the end finding out that it was indeed all masterminded by Tanya Harding and her husband, I thought,
Yeah.
So that was like the gist that I recalled from that time period.
Okay, so
yeah.
I was not super well versed in this topic. So for homework, I watched the movie I, Tanya, which won Academy Awards.
Yeah.
It was all in the hype train for a while there, in the award circuit, for a very good reason. It's a very good movie. So highly recommend you should check out I, Tanya. Now, I think it portrays what is supposedly the truth. I don't know. I'll take this with a grain of salt. But what happened apparently was someone had intimidated Tanya and it threw her off her game. So she was like, let's intimidate Nancy. Let's send her some threatening letters. And then so her ex-husband employed his friend and her bodyguard to contact someone else to do it for them so that they wouldn't be implicated.
Right.
But what Tanya Harding and her ex-husband didn't know is that this bodyguard guy was going to go rogue and escalate everything and get his hired hands to do the dirty work to, hit her in the knee and take her out. So Tanya's only involvement was that she wanted to intimidate Nancy, but because she was part of the plot in general, it's like kind of like in leadership, like the buck stops with her. So yeah, she got, she got some fines, and she got a suspended sentence, and she got kicked out of any sort of competitive skating for the rest of her life.
That's good. I mean, in organized sports and something that's as competitive as that, you're going to have people that are, going to try to intimidate you and throw you off your game, right? I mean, we even see that like in pinball tournaments and stuff, right?
Right.
So,
the lowest stakes possible tournaments. We see that.
But so like it's understandable how like that kind of stuff would happen. But like the extreme that it went to, I think that some cool stuff did happen out of this, right? So because Nancy Kerrigan was injured and she couldn't compete in the Winter Olympics that year. But the Olympic team said that she should still come. Even though she can't compete, she should be a part of it because she had made the team before it all happened and everything like that, right? And so they actually brought her out there with it, with the U.S. figure skating team. The U.S. Figure Skating Association, they supported this move and everything like that, right? So it was like a good show of solidarity. And then eventually they did compete.
And she won a silver medal.
Yeah, she won a silver medal. And she won a silver medal behind, you already said her name, but she's like my favorite name.
Katarina Witt?
No.
Oksana Bayul?
Oksana Bayul. It's like a Street Fighter name. I've always loved her name. But yeah, and and I think it all turned out a crazy story.
I think the craziest thing about it was that, like you said, it was in the media for so long,
Right.
and it took so long for it to resolve itself that this had happened, and she still was on the same team.
Right.
Like they went to the Olympics together and competed on the same team with all that history behind them. That talk about awkward.
I know. Like I couldn't imagine what that situation would be like.
Yeah. Well, not that Nancy Kerrigan deserved no part of this, hands down.
Yeah.
And I know that some will say this is, too apologist, but if you watch I, Tonya, you have a lot more sympathy for Tonya Harding and her situation leading up to that event than you did previously. So check it out.
Yeah, I wonder how accurate that is, because so I have not seen the movie, but I've seen parts of it, and they do like she had a rough go of it, leading up to it and everything. And this was like her thing to make a name for herself.
And then when they took her out of skating competitions, she had to resort to what was necessary, and she became like a celebrity boxer or something.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I don't know.
Anyway, it was definitely a moment in pop culture,
Yeah.
and you could not escape it in the 90s.
From Walt Disney Pictures, 4 Jamaicans are determined to become Olympic bobsledders.
And who are you? The Jamaican bobsled team.
Now, with a little training and a lot of practice, they might just do the impossible.
Slow down! Slow down! Oh, thanks, Coach. I am feeling very Olympic today.
Cool Runnings, inspired by the true story.
I gotta go. Hold it, hold it, hold it.
Rated PG. Sneak preview this Saturday and Sunday.
So we've probably talked about this on the show before. I don't know how deep a dive we went into it, but we can't talk about Winter Olympics memories without talking about the Disney classic, Cool Runnings.
I know. And it's so funny because, you were talking about with Eddie the Eagle, right? That was his name. And how like, he was like a nobody, and they had to change the rules because they were like, we want more like professional people. And then, it's a very similar story, like who would think Jamaica would have a bobsledding team?
I think this was the same Olympics. I think this was the 88 Olympics where they actually competed. Yeah, 1988 Winter Olympics. That was the same year as Eddie the Eagle. So
the Olympic committee was like, what are we doing?
It's pandemonium in here. They let anybody in. No, but again, we have based on true events, but a Disney-fied version of it, movie quality. And this movie, I can't tell you how many times I watched it on bus trips and at school. You'd pop it in when the teacher was gone.
I feel like they also just played it all the time on the Disney Channel.
Oh, that's probably true. That's probably true. Well, in case somehow this pop culture milestone escaped you, give them a little rundown, Brian.
All right. So you have, I think I gave the rundown last time. I think we very briefly talked about it during the Summer Olympics. And so I feel weird about talking about it again, but
hey,
I know we're going to do better this time.
It deserves all the talk it can get.
All right. Well, sometimes people, they feel like a champion, and so they know, I got it in my heart, and I'm gonna work really hard on this and become a champion. And that's kind of what happened. So 4 people that had never seen snow before decided they want to be bobsledding champions, and so they get together and start training, and they get a disgraced coach that is he's really trying to get his name back together. And what better way to do it than with an underdog, because everybody loves an underdog story, right? So ultimately John Candy is their coach. It was actually John Candy's last film too.
What?
So,
no, was it?
It was.
I thought he was in Wagons East.
Wagons East? I don't know. You talk. I'll look it up, because in my research it said this was his last movie.
Maybe, I don't know, but yeah. So this movie is not entirely factually accurate. So like the character names are a little bit different. But really it was 4 Jamaican bobsledders, coming from a country that has no snow and competing with an American coach and getting rickety bobsleds and relying on the generosity of other countries to train and so forth. But they all come together to lose.
Yeah, but they'd lose gracefully.
Yeah. I've got one thing. I don't know. Are you ready to have your bubble burst?
I am.
So, spoiler alert. You skip ahead 30 seconds if you don't want to hear the end of the movie or what happened in real life. But in the movie, they crash out,
Mm-hmm.
and then they gracefully get up. They shoo away the helpers,
Mm-hmm.
and then they carry the bobsled
Mm-hmm.
and walk away.
Yep.
In reality, they did crash. It was the third out of 4 attempts,
Mhm.
so it wasn't their one and only.
Right.
And they did not carry the bobsled.
No, but they did walk alongside of it.
They walked. No, well, like there was a group of people. It wasn't like just the 4 of them in solidarity, like movie photo finish.
Oh yeah, but they walked alongside of it.
You're very forgiving, Brian.
What I think is crazy if you think about it is they were going so fast. So they're going 81 miles an hour down this bobsled when they crashed, and they talked about how the smell of their fiberglass helmets on the ice, because the helmets slid for 2,000 feet before they stopped.
Oh yeah. When you go look it up on YouTube, when you watch their actual like historical footage,
Mm-hmm.
they flip like halfway down,
Mm-hmm.
and then they're just sliding.
Yep.
Crashed on their heads
Mm-hmm.
for the rest of the way. It's an exceedingly long amount of time.
Yeah, it is cool because in the movie they use actual footage from the crash, but it's
wow.
like edited to like fit the story of the movie or whatever. But yeah, they talked about how like they smelled that for
Wow.
months. So
wow, that's wild. Now the movie came out in October of 1993 and it made $154.9 million.
Mm-hmm.
It's a family movie classic. Everybody saw this movie.
Yeah, it was really good. And you were right. John Candy was on Wagons East, but I think that was filmed before this movie was.
Oh, okay.
And so this was his last movie he made. So.
Okay. Well, he's an icon and helped make this movie great. So this one, I think you can watch it for free on Disney Plus. I think it's on
there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They need to have Cool Runnings too.
Oh my gosh, maybe they will. Like maybe I didn't watch the Winter Olympics bobsledding teams.
They're
but
still in it.
Yeah,
but Jamaica's still at it.
So maybe something cool happened this year, and so that'll be the impetus for them to create a sequel.
I know. We're just looking out for those movie moments. Well, that's going to wrap up this show for the evening.
I can't believe it, Preston.
Hey, look, as fast as the Olympics are coming and going, we'll probably have another one in 3 months.
Yeah, that's true. And, to watch it all, I guess they've actually probably made it easier to watch now that it's online, because it used to be a pain to have to, like, watch everything.
Yeah.
But now you can probably just pick it all on Peacock, right? I assume it's on Peacock.
Who knows?
Who has Peacock? Please.
Well, we appreciate you checking us out and listening to the show or watching the show. And we will be back next month with more pop culture memories from the past. Brian, where can folks find more information about us?
So for the show, you can hit us up on Twitter at Wayback_Attack. And you can find me on Twitter at BE Grantham. Preston, where can people find you?
Folks, you can find me on Twitter at SquaredStiff. And if you want to reach the show through email, we are at waybackattackshow@gmail.com.
And you can go to the website, because I think there's links to the email on there.
Yeah, waybackattackshow.com.
Yeah. So thank you so much for spending this time with us. And I hope that you guys keep it cool.
That's what I was going to say. Stay cool, everyone. Bye.